This is Martha Alderson again, the plot whisperer. We are now on step 24, and we're really gearing up for the end of our series and also for the end of the contest, the Santa Cruz Traveling Mystery Tour. So those of you who are following along, I hope that you can recognize where we are. I see a little boy here, and I'm sure he knows exactly where we are. So we are now at the end of a story. So we're in the last quarter of the story, and this takes on a completely different energetic flow than any other part of the story so far. Because remember that from the beginning of the end, when the protagonist takes her first step toward the final achievement of her goal, that the energy of the story rises really quickly to the climax. And it depends on what kind of a genre you write, depending on how much time takes place in this last quarter. Because sometimes between the crisis and the climax is a very short period of time. So these sort of parameters, the quarter, half, and quarter that I've talked about earlier, about the energetic flow of a story, you have to mess with them and allow for whatever serves your story the best. I'm just sort of giving you the guidelines so that you at least have something to sort of consider. So the end is all about, the purpose of the end is to resolve the major conflict of the story. So you've had a lot of subplots, you've had a lot of secondary characters, you've had a lot of other things going on in your story. But at this point, we're really trying to overcome the major conflict of the entire novel, memoir, or screenplay. All of the scenes at the very end work together. There's nothing extra, there's nothing that you throw in at the last minute. It's all really tight, and it's all leading to the climax. The climax at the end is the crowning glory of the whole project, and that's what you're aiming for, and that's what you're keeping in mind at all times. How do I bring about this moment in the most dramatic way possible for the reader or the moviegoer? So you want to have these scenes working together to create heightened conflict. If you let things sort of simmer and get ready at the very beginning of the end, now you want to start to really up the challenge so that you then hit the most impactful scene, which is the climax. So what happens is that in the scenes that lead up to the climax, you want the protagonist to still face hurdles, obstacles, dilemmas, things that she has to overcome. Only now she'll overcome them with the new sense of herself that was created because of what happened at the crisis. So because she was awakened at the crisis and came to terms with what was going on in her backstory, or all the different elements that contributed to, her not living her perfect life, and she sort of does that in the threshold, now she's going to still meet up with obstacles. You have to throw even more intense obstacles in her way, because now she's more powerful. She knows who she is, and as flawed as she may be, she's much more aware of what she brings and what her strengths are. So that means she can't prevail until the climax, or she can in small ways, but you want to make sure that the obstacles are formidable enough that it allows us to see what the character does now that she's conscious and awake and aware of who she is as a character. So now also is a time for you as the writer to evaluate the relationship or the romance plotline that you have in your story. And romance doesn't have to be a love, between a man and a woman, or a woman and a woman, or a man and a man, or whatever. It can be all different sorts, and I talked about this in an earlier step. But there is some sort of a relationship, hopefully, in your story, because relationships are the best way for the protagonist to be able to show emotion and show who she is and how she interacts with those around her. So she should have a key relationship by now. We should sort of know who it is that is her greatest ally. And the ally can shapeshift, can sort of be an antagonist at times, but there is one major relationship. So if you haven't developed one, I think it would be great to go back into your story and pull out every single character that she comes up against and see if any of them could work as a great relationship bond for her to create throughout the story. And it's nice if that character sort of is a mirror to her. Either that character embodies all the flaws that she does and she can see in that character what she can't see in herself, or that it's the antithesis, that the character is the antithesis of who she is and something that she sort of unconsciously is aspiring toward. So she will come up against the major antagonist in the entire story so far. Sorry, they're getting ready. This is the, behind me is, well, you can tell it's a carousel. You have to figure out where we are. And they're preparing. This is the 100 years of this carousel, which is so wonderful historically. So they're doing all this work and they're getting ready for the weekend and for all of their visitors and guests. And they were so kind to let us come and film in the middle of this. So I hope you don't mind some of the noise. So anyway, the meaningful, although there's a major antagonist, and that's who she's going to confront at the very end of the crisis, the meaningful relationship she has creates a bond, and it really allows the reader to get to know the protagonist better. So today, your assignment is to think about that major relationship. Is there one? How is it playing into the story? What is changing now and shifting about it? The major character or relationship can go with her to the climax, although she has to prevail all by herself at the conflict. She can't really have any external help until at least she initiates what happens between she and her greatest foe or her greatest fear. So her final ascent to the climax is what she's going to do in order to affect the relationship and this bond in the most positive way possible at the very, very end, which is the resolution. I hope that makes sense to you. And I brought, I think you have seen before, Blockbuster Plots. This is my book. And a lot of this is in there, not all of it, because I wrote this 6 years ago and I've learned a lot since then. But I also brought a couple other things. I do have a scene tracker kit. This kit has the book. It has everything to develop your scenes. It talks about the 7 essential elements of scenes, so if you want to look at that. And then I also have a DVD that talks about the plot planner. I know a lot of you are really interested in creating your own plot planner, and if you do better with demonstration, this is for mystery writers, but anybody can use it because it's the only plot planner DVD I have. And the reason it's mystery is because the example I'm using is mystery, but any of you would sort of benefit from that if you want to create your own plot planner. So again, please visit the Santa Cruz Traveling Mystery Tour website for more information. We're probably going to pick the winner, I think, in early April. But we haven't still worked out the final details yet. So bear with us, keep a list of all the locations, and I'll see you next time for step 24. Thanks a lot.